Hello and welcome to another video, and today is a Tuesday. Well, it is for me anyway. Presumably for you it's a Wednesday, unless you've hacked into my YouTube account and you're currently watching my unlisted video, in which case that's quite impressive. But anyway, today's a Tuesday. On Saturday I went out with my brother's stag do. We visited 21 pubs during the course of the day and the night. Got a drink in every single one, in some cases got 2 drinks. I subsequently spent the next 2.5 days in bed, like feeling like I was going to die. I pretty much climbed out of bed just now, put a t-shirt on in order to film this for you. So if I look like a sweaty, emaciated crack addict, then cut me some slack, yeah? Anyway, let's get on with the video. So today is pretty much 8 months on from the day that I switched from powerlifting to bodybuilding, and so I thought it would be a good time, slash potentially interesting, slash hopefully definitely interesting, if I made a video where I talked about the changes that have occurred since making the switch. So basically like an 8-month review slash transformation video. Now, believe it or not, today is also 8 months on from the day that I switched from using Sensodyne to brushing my teeth with Colgate, but I thought at this stage, making a video toothpaste review would be a little bit too niche. Joking, Colgate sucks dick. I brush my teeth with hummus. Sorry, I strayed a little bit off course there. I think what I'm trying to say is that if you don't like this video and subscribe to my channel, you're going to hell. Okay, we're in. Now, I'm going to split today's video up into 4 areas because I feel like splitting things up is good. Apart from like relationships, although I guess in some cases splitting up a relationship would be a good thing if it was like an abusive relationship. Why am I still talking? I think I'm probably still drunk, to be fair. Just a heads up guys, this video might suck. Yeah, I'm gonna put it into 4 areas. I'm not gonna tell you what the areas are now because I'm about to talk about them. It's like, you know, if you go to the cinema or you're watching like a film or a program with someone and they're like, oh, what's going to happen next, do you think? And you're like, why are you asking me this? Just watch, you're going to find out in like 2 seconds. The time it would take to answer that question, you could just watch and find out, you know? Anyway, part 1 is going to be my physique. So what has happened to my physique since changing from powerlifting to bodybuilding? Now, the first thing to say is that I'm now like noticeably leaner. I'm definitely more shredded than I was as a powerlifter, which is, you know, almost entirely down to my diet. I think like when I was powerlifting, I spent the vast majority of my time in a bulk, in a calorie surplus, because I was trying to get heavier to fill up my weight classes, and ultimately, you know, in terms of strength, the bigger you are, the more mass you have, the stronger you're going to be, you know, whereas now as a bodybuilder, my focus is on my appearance. You know, I want to look lean, I want to look shredded like for the whole year, and so I spent you know, the initial part of bodybuilding in a deficit, and then when I got lean, I've basically just maintained that level. Now, another key factor that I think has kind of contributed to that is the fact that I'm now training abs. I'm also better at like contracting and posing and, you know, using angles and lighting to make my abs look better, and therefore, although I definitely am leaner, like my photos give me the illusion of being even leaner than I am. You know, like if you look at pictures of me back when I was a powerlifter, now admittedly at that time I wasn't taking many shirtless pictures because I wasn't a weirdo, but yeah, you can see quite clearly compared to me now. I mean, even looking at the thumbnail, you can see that I'm definitely, yeah, looking a lot more shredded, looking a lot better in terms of my physique, you know, in that area. Now, ironically, I'd actually say I probably have, well, not probably, I definitely have less muscle mass now than when I was a powerlifter, because obviously I was carrying like another 5 to 10 kilos for the majority of that time, and so although I didn't look as defined, I would have had more mass, particularly on my legs. You know, as a whole, I think the big difference though, in spite of that, is that I said, because I look lean, because I'm leaner, I look like I have more muscle mass than I did, and also I think I have a more balanced physique now. So the big area I've addressed is my shoulders. Like as a powerlifter, I never ever, particularly in the last year, literally didn't touch my shoulders, no overhead pressing at all. Whereas now I'm training shoulders like twice a week. So I think although it's been a slow process, if you look at images of me or videos of me, I think my shoulders definitely look a lot better now than they did going back to when I was a powerlifter. Part 2 is going to be my strength. So what has happened to my strength since changing from powerlifting to bodybuilding? In short, it's got worse, like in some areas significantly worse. So if we look at the main lift to start with, back when I was powerlifting, I could squat 265 kilograms, admittedly at a higher body weight. Nowadays, I mean, the heaviest squat I've hit since bodybuilding is 230 kilograms. In terms of bench press, that's taken a pretty significant hit. So when I was powerlifting, I hit 180 kilograms with a pause. And now, again, since changing to bodybuilding, the heaviest bench press I've hit for a single is 160 kilograms. Deadlift wise, this is where I've taken the biggest hit, like it's literally depressing. When I was powerlifting, I hit a deadlift of 310 kilograms, admittedly on a deadlift bar, which makes a massive difference. Since changing to bodybuilding, the biggest deadlift deadlift I've hit is a pathetic 250 kilograms. But again, that's using, you know, like a crappy gym bar versus using a deadlift bar. So if you put, you know, my best lift as a power lifter on a regular bar, you'd probably knock it down to about probably 290, but you're still looking at, you know, a pretty massive drop in strength in that area. With that said, you could, if you were a complete loser, argue that I'm actually stronger now, because whereas before I was doing pretty much 4 lifts and nothing else, I'm now doing like, you know, 20, 25 exercises a week, and so in those exercises I'm actually stronger, like, you know, things like chest isolation movements, you know, back isolation, leg extension, leg curls, you know, bicep triceps, all those kind of niche specific isolation hypertrophy focused exercises. I'm actually, you know, lifting more weight for more reps than I could have done when I was a powerlifter, but that's purely because I'm doing them, whereas, you know, I wasn't doing them before. So it's just a case of, you know, improving the skill, and so saying I'm stronger would be, you know, embarrassing. It would be like if you were a sprinter and you switched to being a florist and you were like, I'm faster now, and you're like, what, you're faster, your 100-meter time has improved since becoming a florist. You're like, no, I'm faster at making bouquets of flowers. Like, you know, that's not, you're not faster, are you? Part 3 is going to be enjoyment, so how much I'm enjoying training now as a bodybuilder compared to back when I was a powerlifter. And again, in short, the answer is probably less. Like, not significantly, but I think I am enjoying training slightly less than when I was a powerlifter, only because of the kind of subjective nature of training now. Like, you know, ultimately, as a powerlifter, you're training for objective, clear goals. You're trying to hit certain numbers and improve those numbers. As a bodybuilder, you're training to improve your physique. You know, and physique, although you could measure it, you know, that's not practical, and so ultimately what you're measuring is very subjective. It comes down to people's opinions, and so it's hard to be motivated for that. You know, it's not, ultimately it's not as gratifying, because saying I just squatted, you know, this massive number is more fun than saying, you know, my triceps are now slightly bigger. Now, with that said, I am trying to make it as objective as I can. What I'm doing is I'm tracking all of my numbers across everything, so I'm always trying to hit like weight and like rep PRs across the different lifts. But again, ultimately, you know, hitting a big PR for a squat or a deadlift is always going to be more exciting and rewarding than hitting a big PR for like a rear delt fly or a freaking lat pull down. However, it does also have to be said that although it's probably slightly less enjoyable, it's far less stressful. Like, it's far less taxing and it's far more sustainable. Like, when I was powerlifting, there were times towards the end when I was dreading training just because I was squatting and deadlifting so much. And if you haven't done it before, like, squatting really, really heavy all the time, like, sucks, you know, particularly, you know, if you've got to train in the morning or if you're not feeling great that day. You know, bodybuilding, you can not feel great, but you can get into a session, work your way into it, and you can feel awesome by the end. Squatting, like, if you go and try and do a heavy squat workout and you feel crap, the chances are you're gonna feel crap and, like, you might die. And the fourth and final part is gonna be practicality. And this is an area that has improved dramatically. Like, it's literally a million times better now. And this is probably the main reason why realistically I will never go back to powerlifting. So when I first started powerlifting, I wasn't really doing much. You know, I technically had started YouTube, but it wasn't really, you know, a real thing. I was uploading like one video every 3 months of like me doing some sit-ups in my bedroom. Like, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't my job by any means, and so I needed like a focus. I wanted something, you know, to kind of put all my energy into, you know. Whereas now, where YouTube and social media has blown up for me and it's now my full-time job and it like literally consumes me, I haven't got time to focus on anything else. So if I was powerlifting now, I wouldn't be able to commit to it, so I wouldn't be as good as I could be, and I hate doing something if I can't commit to it. And B, I just physically wouldn't have the time. You know, like, if you're trying to make videos and go and do stuff and you've got to kind of have a 3-hour training session in a particular gym at a particular time, it's very hard to commit to that. Now, it has to be said, like, it's not really a fair comparison, because when I was powerlifting, I was competing, so I was training, you know, very seriously. It was really important to me. Whereas now, as a bodybuilder, although I'm technically training as a bodybuilder, I have no intention of competing, and so the whole kind of diet side, which I know, you know, as a bodybuilder, when you're dieting for a show, that is like horrendous, and the amount of commitment and dedication that takes is outrageous. If I was doing that, it would be a completely different story, but I'm not doing that, and so, like I said, it's not a fair comparison. But yeah, in terms of training styles for me right now, what I'm doing now as a bodybuilder is so much more like sustainable and so much easier to fit around my lifestyle. Like, for example, over the last 8 weeks, we've been away like 4 times. Now, when I was powerlifting, I simply wouldn't be able to do that because some of those places didn't have a suitable gym. Like, I remember when I was powerlifting, anytime I wanted to go anywhere, I had to research, I had to find a suitable, not just a regular, but a suitable, a good powerlifting gym. And if there wasn't one there, we couldn't go to that place, you know, because ultimately as a powerlifter you're training for a lift, you know, rather than body parts. You're training for a specific lift, and therefore you need that exact piece of equipment. Like I needed a monolift or a good squat rack, or a particular bench or a particular bar. As a bodybuilder, you're just training body parts. So although ideally you might have some machines that you like or some equipment that you like, if you're training your chest, you can train your chest, you know, in various ways. You don't need just one specific like machine or piece of equipment in one specific gym. On top of that, the dedication required for my current goals is basically like nowhere near as much as it was as a powerlifter. Like now, like I said, I can go away, I can have a few days off, I can have even a week or 2 weeks off at a time, and I feel like I can get back, you know, in the game pretty quickly. I can get back to my physique and kind of go on from there fairly quickly, whereas as a powerlifter, if I was to have a week or 2 weeks off, I would lose a significant amount of strength, particularly with the training frequency that I was doing, and so yeah, it just didn't give me anywhere near the flexibility that I have now, and therefore it was just nowhere near as easy to fit in around my lifestyle as my current training style is. So in conclusion, since changing from powerlifting to bodybuilding, I've got weaker, I've got smaller, and I don't enjoy training as much. But, and this is a pretty big but,
I like big butts and I cannot lie.
I look better, my social media has grown significantly, and I have a much healthier, much more sustainable relationship with training. So, swings and roundabouts. And that is where I'm going to end the video, because I need to go and throw up and then fall asleep in the shower. So I sincerely hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you have enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you tomorrow.